configuration. Okay. One requirement we will take, guys. There is a library given by Google called as JSON library. It is for working with JSONs. Okay. So JSON library is given by Google. It is to work with JSON kinds of JSON strings. So using this library, you can convert a Java object to JSON string, and even reverse capability is possible. And yes, there are some other additional things, but major work is to do this object conversion. We will take this use case once. Okay. So we need to now just assume this is our code of yesterday. Open project. We even implemented 3-layer system yesterday, controller, service. So in our service layer, so let's open that service, calculator service. We are just giving the context so that we can start today. The summary really gives the right context, because after 24 hours, we are connecting back again. Okay, now let's assume this. We created a calculator service, yesterday code itself. As part of that, we are getting this JSON request. What we will do is, here we will write code to convert this object into a JSON string. That's it, a simple, only for experimenting purpose. Add request object, we will convert it into a JSON string using Google ka JSON library. So that is a requirement. Okay? Convert add request Java object into JSON string using Google JSON library. This is what is a requirement. Okay. Now guys, always you have to start thinking like this. Whenever some existing library is there, that means in the real world, some jar file is available. You need to have that in your class path, then only you can use it. So guys, you're thinking always to start like this. Okay, which jar I should include in my class path in order to work with Google JSON library. Without that, it's not possible. Second thing, you need to already know, we are using build tool Maven. So how to make the Maven configuration for this kind of system? Two things we should be aware of. Okay, so where is all this information on internet? So let's go here. Let's go to just Googling it out. Okay, just going to internet, finding stuff there, and you will be able to find it. Let's say JSON Maven dependency. We already said, guys, DevTool dependencies we were adding. So at that time itself, we said all these kind of dependencies which are required, okay, are available as part of mvnrepository.com. We can just get it from this place itself, mvnrepository.com. There, Google ka JSON library is available. We know that we have to take some tag configuration. Okay, let's take this one. Add it inside pom.xml. So this is how we can add new dependency. We did it earlier with DevTool dependencies. Now we are repeating with Google JSON. But the key thing to be understood here, guys, whenever you want to work with external libraries, you need to search what dependency I should add, and Maven repository say you can find those dependencies. Step number 2, go for Maven. Dekho guys, in the market, multiple build tools are available. These are the list of all those build tools. Gradle, next SBT, IVY, Grape. Multiple build tools might be available. Accordingly, based upon what build tool you are using, you need to use that configuration with you. Okay? So accordingly, dependencies will be managed. We are using Maven, so we will pick the Maven configuration. Okay, let's apply this. What is the shortcut, guys? Control-Shift-R, pom.xml. You open this. Next, dependencies needs to be added in the dependencies tag. So dependencies is the tag. Inside that, multiple dependencies are available. We have already added DevTool. Below this, we will add this JSON wala. Okay, added. Let's do, okay, we again said last time, if version ID is recommending to remove the version, so better remove it, because based upon your Spring Boot version which you are using, it will be automatically sorted for you. Okay? So always try to have compatible version. So if ID is saying, hey, it's not recommended, so please just remove it. Control D is the shortcut for that. Remember these basics whenever you are managing dependencies. Okay, so fine, we have done it. Save. Control D is line deletion, saving it. I'm not writing all these small things, guys, but you need to be now aware. Okay, I'm telling it clearly so that you later watch the recording, make these notes, but make this a part of working. Okay, fine. We found the library. We added it inside pom.xml. Next, we said every time we make the change, we need to do a proper clean package. Pom.xml always should be followed by a proper clean package. Don't work with it, because if these dependencies are not resolved, some problems might come in your project. Okay? Because dependencies are external code, needs to be there with you. So please handle accordingly. So what we will do, whenever you modify anything here, we simply go right click, run as, build clean package. If you want to skip the test, if it is taking time, you can skip it here, run. Let's see. So first we are trying to add dependencies. Now guys, by the time this is building up, okay, build is successful. Let's bring the service up as well. Right click, run as, clean Spring Boot :run. Let's run it. Okay, now by the time this is coming up, please understand this one thing, guys. It is a standard and it will be always required for you during project development. Entire Java is what, guys? You can simplify the entire Java development. The entire Java is the concept based upon, object-oriented principles, right? Object-oriented programming. Now, as part of object-oriented programming, everything is class, which will have fields, which will have methods. Then static might be there, non-static might be there, and all this rest of the drama. But in the nutshell, everything is class and methods. Nothing but all logic is going to be written in some class, some methods, using some fields. It's very simple if you understand. Entire Java programming is like this only. Entire logic, entire business is going to be available in some classes, so using some fields, having some methods, static, non-static, doesn't matter. This is what is entire logic. Now the thing is, either you write this logic, or logic is written by somebody else. This is what it is. Okay, please understand, the entire programming is so simple. Either you write logic, or logic is written by someone else. And guys, what we are doing, whatever logic we have written, we are also doing MVN package, right? Nothing but we are also preparing a jar file. Similarly, whatever these other people have written logic written by somebody else, they have also given it in the form of jar files. Okay, so when you have added this kind of a JSON, correspondingly there will be a jar file that will be taken, added to the class path. Now please understand, your entire programming is so simple. You need to know which jar file has what type of logic, next which class in that jar holds your logic, and which method to use. Let me tell you, this is entire programming. Not only in Java, even in other ways of programming, this is what you need to be aware of. Your entire research should be which jar file is having what kind of code, which class is having what kind of method. Right now we are learning DevTool might be there. Right now JSON might be there. There are thousands and thousands of libraries with multiple Java code already available. In your projects when you work, more and more such kind of things will be there. Your basic funda should be, okay, which dependencies I need to have. In that, which classes contain the logic and which methods you are supposed to use. And for knowing the methods, the classes, the jar files also, internet is going to be there for you. You don't have to remember these things also. You just need to think with your brain and then try to sit on internet and explore on ChatGPT, on Google and multiple places. It will tell you everything. Then you just have to use it. How to use it is right now we are seeing, go to internet, find a Maven dependency, add it here, jar file will come. Later you need to explore how to use this JSON library to convert Java object into a string. Some way will be available. Now, if you are aware of it, very good. If you're not aware, you have to go to internet. Now, ChatGPT has really simplified the entire world. Okay, you can simply ask your logic. If your mind is thinking, you can solve anything. Okay, using Google JSON library, how to convert Java object into JSON string. This is common sense. This is not programming knowledge. This is what you think with your mind, common sense. Internet will give you the solution for that. If you're not aware, internet is your starting point. You don't need to be aware of anything. Just check it out. It is starting right from which dependency should be there with you. Are you seeing it? Next, Java object it created. It is saying, okay, in this JSON library, there is a class called as com google.json.json. You can create an object of that and simply call this method. It will convert. Now, guys, was it hard to find? If you have a thinking brain, solutions are there. So don't feel super great if you know something new. Be always down to earth and humble, because your knowledge, anybody with sense of mind can have it. So be down to earth, use the power of internet, be humble and grow very fast, because new and new things will always happen. You need to adapt quickly. You don't have to memorize these things. But when you code frequently, you start remembering these things. Right? So Google library is there. JSON class is there. You can create an object of that class. Simple method is there like this. Now you know that. 2 minutes ago, you were not aware of this. But you were just one statement away from finding this information. Thoda try to understand. It is easy and simple to work in the IT industry if your mind can think. That is what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to mug up all these things, but you need to have a thinking brain. Logical thinking skills are must for industry survival. Without that, it is going to be painful. Okay? Okay, fine. So chalo mil gaya. Now it is simple. We need to create an object of JSON and we will just create here. Okay, so let's go to your code. Calculator service. We come to this place. JSON object it is saying. Just see, abhi AI capability, I don't even have to remember all the syntaxes. AI capability plugged in into my ID. Okay, Control Shift O, organize import. Next, that's it. I'm not even now typing. Are you seeing what's happening here? AI is predicting what I might want to do. It automatically filled. Now you might say, Array, you are having a paid version of GitHub Copilot, but that is what you have to make a decision. Key in the company, do you prefer using AI tools to speed up 10 times faster than other people who are not using it? And do you find it worth enough to pay for those services? And many working professionals have already taken this. So if you're not taking it, you're 10 times slow than rest of the IT industry. And that is a problem. So you need to be fast. You need to catch up quick. Now, this is what it is. Simple. I gave a tab. Work is done. Now, let's do a conversion. I'm not typing anything. It is suggesting me, yes, I wanted to just log it. Okay, done. Logged it. So that is where, if possible, once you start working, definitely discuss with your manager and have AI pair programmer with you. It will speed you 10 times faster. Okay? But yes, you have to write the code. You need to understand what is recommended. So coding skills are required, but it will do 10 times faster for you. Strong recommendation, definitely do it. Otherwise, others will grow faster than you. You will be left behind. Okay, okay, fine, chalo. Let's come back to the topic. So this is fine. We added a simple library. If we were not aware of it, Google ChatGPT explained us. You can read the description also here. It has everything basically. Okay. Next, let's just try to save it. Let's try to save it. We will call the add number methods again. Okay. We will call the add number methods again and try to see how this is the conversion really happening or not. We have printed like this. Is the conversion happening or not? Okay, shoot. The okay response came, that is okay, but did the printing happen? Yes. So Java object was converted into Spring. This was the requirement. We did a few things. We got the requirement done. Okay. Now we know we are working with Spring related framework. So wherever possible, we should avoid self creation of objects. So ideal thing our brain should go is, okay, but this is a predefined. So we cannot use @ component and all that. We need to use two annotations, @ configuration and @ bean, because it is a predefined class. So this is the model by which JSON object can be added into Spring container. This is how the programming was happening till the time of Spring framework was available. Now Spring Boot has provided auto configuration, auto config. What does this mean? Now this is really intelligent. Dekho guys. What we will do is just keep observing. I'm cutting this as part of here, defining that not with a new operator. So we should not create it. Not with a new operator. We should not create it. But we want to dependency inject. That's what we do. So constructor injection I will be using here. Just see, I'm just using tabs. AI is suggesting me what to write and not write. It is saving so much of my typing efforts also. Okay. Now guys, just see. What we did, instead of creating our object manually, we simply injected it. This code will work only when JSON object is available inside Spring container. Guys, remember our yesterday's discussion. Remember our yesterday's discussion. Spring container, dependency injections. Whenever there is a class with @ component or @bean, something like that, then it is by default added inside Spring container using some dependency injection. Here we are using constructor injection. If it is available, if the JSON object is available in the Spring container and you use constructor injection, then that object will be assigned to you. Okay, so this is the situation. So currently whatever we coded, it is coded in this manner. In the Spring container, if JSON object is available, then using constructor injection, this object will be assigned to calculator service. This is what is the current code. Now let's save this. I have not yet saved it, and let's see if there is any exception for Spring to come up. Observe, we have not added JSON object inside Spring container. We did not code it. We added only jar file and we are doing this. Let's see whether JSON object, how exactly right now happens. Okay? So we go here, enter, 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 save. Okay, just see, the application did not crash. Okay, so Tomcat started successfully on 8081. Wonderful. And can we do a test to see whether it is working also? Okay, we go here. Let's go back. Call. Okay. No exception. Everything is smooth. Null pointer also not there. No any other kind of drama. And object also converted. This is the magic of Spring Boot. Okay. Guys, just try to understand what have we done here. While defining, we only injected JSON into our class and we are using it. But the question is, who has added this? That is the magic of Spring Boot. We did not create configure, we did not create bean, but somehow it is still available. And the question is, who has done it? And that is what is Spring Boot auto configuration. Okay, how auto configuration works? Guys, listen to this part carefully. Based upon the jars which is there in your class path, Spring Boot decides, should I already create certain objects and add to the Spring container? That is auto configuration. Okay, what is it? Based on the jars which are there in class path, Spring Boot decides, should it automatically create some objects as Spring Beans and hold inside container. So developers can automatically use it using dependency injection or dependency lookup. This capability was not available with Spring. You always had to configure it. Spring Boot does it for you. That's the power. ठीक है? And guys, थोड़ा सा एक और experiment देखते हैं. We did not add any configuration, so it was taken care. Let's check about one more thing here, guys. Okay, one more experiment here. What happens if we define? If we are not defining, Spring is giving it. Now the question is, what happens if we define Spring Boot bean? Let's say JSON bean if we define. So will the Spring Boot provide its bean also and our bean also, or will there be a problem? Let's try to check that part. What happens if we define @bean for this JSON? We already discussed yesterday, Control-Shift-R, app config. How can we define it? We will simply come here and say JSON, something like this, Control-Shift-O. Method name can be anything, no need of any request parameter. Return type of this method should be the bean which you want to add it into Spring container, and this is how we are creating it. Fine, you just annotate it with @bean. Save it. Okay, I have not yet saved it. Now the second scenario is, if we are not defining it, Spring Boot automatically created object of JSON and gave it to us. Now if we provide it, then what happens? Let's try to see. Okay, let's try to see. I'm giving some enters and now about to click on save. Okay, guys, some different kind of logging statements came. Just observe here. Earlier, these kind of statements were not coming. Now it is coming. And if you see some naming wise, you can understand auto configuration they are talking about. Okay, guys, abhi thoda let's make it more interesting. We will open this class which is available inside the Spring system, JSON auto configuration. How do you open a class? Control-Shift-T, opening any type, Control-Shift-T and opening this. Just see, in our class path currently, there is a Spring Boot auto configure jar. In that, Spring Boot guys have already defined configuration for JSON. Okay, and just have a look here. Just have a look here, guys. This is interesting. In the auto configuration, so this is the auto configuration jar. Spring team has already given so many auto configurations for admin, for ActiveMQ, for AMQP, AOP, availability, batch, caches, Cassandra, and DAOs, okay, Couchbases, Elasticsearch, JPAs. So many auto configurations are already predefined by the Spring Boot team. Okay, and our JSON is one of this thing. So we are not sure, okay, in the real world what more libraries might be there which is not configured by Spring Boot. So for them auto configuration will not happen. But try to see the majorly commonly used libraries across many projects. These guys have done auto configurations for that and made it available. Just see how many auto configurations are there. The setup is done by the Spring guys itself. So many things are auto configured, and almost 70 to 80% of the projects will need from this only. So auto configuration will take care for 70 to 80% ready-made logic part. Okay, that is the first learning to take. Spring guys have created another module, Spring Boot Auto Configure. So we get this kind of a library, Spring Boot Auto Configure. In that, they have defined all these configurations because of that reason. And now let's try to observe code here. Let's try to observe code here. Okay, how this auto configuration is actually working. If you check it out here, what it is saying, negative match. In this class, this method /JSON, nothing but this piece of code is being triggered. Guys, now this is interesting part. In the Spring configuration, they have used @bean annotation. And in that, we use right now new JSON using, there is another way, JSON builder.create also. If you do, you will be able to get a JSON object. So Spring is somehow using, Spring Boot is internally using this way of JSON object creation. Okay, but it is on what? Conditional on missing bean. This is doing the magic. What does this say? Okay, guys, understand this part very carefully. In the class path, if JSON library is available, okay, then check if JSON bean is already there or not. If it is already there, so don't create it. But conditional on missing bean, if it is not there, then create this. I will repeat it again. Focus. It is a step of activities, how the auto configuration is working. In interview, if they want to get into details, you can explain these things. Auto configuration, how it actually works. First of all, step number 1, based on jar file in your class path. Okay, based upon jar file in your class path. Okay, Spring Boot has already defined which classes should be auto configured. It's already there. Where it is there? In this kind of a jar file. Next step, in that they are using conditional on missing bean. Conditional on missing bean. That means if JSON bean is not in Spring container. Guys, understand this part clearly. Whenever the Spring Boot application is coming up, Spring Boot application sees, oh, in the class path, JSON library is there. Next, it comes here and starts using this annotation. It checks, Spring Boot system checks. If JSON bean is not available in container, then Spring Boot automatically creates JSON object and adds to container. This is what is auto config. But the next thing, if JSON bean is already in container, when is JSON bean already in container? If the developer has explicitly configured. So if we have already configured it, though Spring is not going to create its own auto configuration. Two beans will not come. Okay, so if we have not configured, then Spring is providing. If we configure, Spring will not provide. How it is happening is simply by using this kind of annotation inside their built-in library. And they have also used @bean only, which we already know. For using this, objects will be placed inside Spring container. But how will this method be active is based upon this. If JSON object is not there, then this method should be executed. If JSON object is already there, means if we have defined it, it is already available, then Spring will not provide it. Let me just write down the conclusion here, and then you can absorb these thoughts. If we explicitly configure @bean, then auto config will not happen. If we don't configure, then Spring Boot will run auto config and place bean inside container. This is an important thing to understand, and this is what is auto configuration. Guys, are we clear with this? Team, everybody, please put a nice poll in here. This is really interesting concept, and this is the powerful feature of Spring Boot. Hey developer, you don't create it, I will create the objects, give it to you, just use it. Right? Life is so much simple. Okay, let me put up a quick poll. Auto configuration, explain in interview with these examples your current understanding score. Okay, please put in here, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so this is what is auto configuration. Straightforward, eh? Experiment with it and you will get a nice grip. This is the powerful feature of Spring Boot. Starter and auto configuration. If you can explain it nicely in interview, people will be like, "Arey badhiya hai ye banda." Right? And many of the people, especially at junior level, don't have this clarity. So if you have it, it is very powerful. Okay, pretty good to see 90+%